In the back, is that the case?
Yep, Windows 2012 R2, yeah.
Remote desktop, or is it?
No, this is actually our own proprietary H264 encoder that we're actually using to stream these sessions. So we're not using RDP terminal services. We're not using, VDI. This is not shared resources. Every user connects one-to-one to a VM, so they have the entire OS at their disposal when they launch a single
So this
application.
is actually a 2012 server.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm
Yep,
looking for?
everything is server operating systems.
So why? Oh, because you want to be able to do stuff in the back that you have picked.
Yeah.
Just pick like a Windows.
I need mouse. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So essentially, that's really all that a user can do. As I said before, they can launch applications and they can connect their files. In the application on the top left, files on the top right. Now, as the admin, you actually have full access into the desktop. So, if you guys needed to provide desktops, essentially doing DaaS, what we would do is we would have a single application here that would say desktop, and then it wouldn't matter what applications are installed in the main image because every user will get those and every user will have full control over the entire operating system that's given to them. And so all we would have in terms of Windows apps would be just a one application that says desktop. You click on that and you actually launch a full-blown desktop, so that if the admin went in and installed whatever applications that you want, all those users would have it from a traditional desktop experience. Otherwise, the Launchpad delivery method is through a single application delivery, whereas you click on an app, it launches that specific app, and then you can launch concurrent apps from that session. So it's really up to you guys in terms of how you want to deliver the experience to the user. So we can either do a desktop delivery where we have a single app and it's a desktop, you click on it, you launch a desktop, or you have exactly what you're seeing here where it's kind of the application-driven experience.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So, but the
Yeah,
nice
we
thing
can.
is that each user, like here, I have a full Windows 2012 machine in the back of this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, that's kind of cool.
Yep, and that's what that's going to do is that's going to pass through a 2-minute wait to the user, which we say approximately 3 minutes, and then it also is cost saving for the administrator. Whereas you go with the other way, and you're going to be paying, for however many, hours you need that turned on, and then the users can connect immediately. So it's kind of a one or the other.
Yeah.
So the 2-minute wait time isn't too bad, but
no, it's not bad. It's not bad at all.
Yeah. So that
it takes about
so you're connected right in.
Yeah.
Autodesk launches, and this is the splash screen, obviously, and now we're in Autodesk. So that's kind of the delivery method. That's exactly what's going on in the back end. We're connecting you to a stream where that application is launched on hardware in the data center.
Now, what would you say demonstrates? Can you take the wheel here and show me something in AutoCAD that's really cool that a engineer would appreciate?
Well, yeah. Let's just go ahead and try to open any of these here, I would say.
Yeah. And I'm just going to take the mouse to make my screen full screen here. Let's keep going.
Yep. Yeah, you're good. Yep, you're good.
Okay, go ahead.
And so, yeah, so that should be. So if you want to rotate, you can rotate the objects. Oh, looks like I'm not. There we go. Oops.
Wow. It redraws it almost immediately.
So Revit. Yeah, let's go ahead and launch Revit.
Yeah.
I usually demo Revit.
Okay, show us there Revit. What is Revit?
Yeah, so we can click on Revit right here. So Revit is less industrial and more architectural driven.
Okay.
A lot of the models are oriented towards housing or landscapes, things like that. And so if we can, and let's open Casa. Okay, cool. So we've got this little house here that we can use the middle click and you can rotate the actual object. You can use the middle scroll button to zoom in. I'll just grab this, and then this box here, this will rotate, 360. And then we also have the actual object that we can grab, and we can look at that as well. I can kind of manipulate that and move up a little bit. And then once that's done, there we go. You can look at it from a kind of the face, and using this, you can kind of just rotate this and see what's going on with the building.
How's the performance, and you've seen this on a local desktop? How would you compare it?
Through the Zoom, or I'm sorry, through the GoToMeeting and through the stream, it's not going to be the best. I mean, I would actually, you yourself, take over the mouse and then try and move this object around and see what it's like for you. It should look better for you versus what you're seeing me do. It should be a little more responsive.
Yeah, it's immediate.
Yeah, so that's really what we're dealing with here. This is the Pro 16 account, so it has a graphics card in it. And so that's really what we're just looking at.
Yeah. Get right underneath.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a bird's eye view satellite shot.
And then you could zoom out too with the middle button. There is no desktop. We're not giving a desktop here. This is just kind of that application driven experience where we provide the applications from
back to all my my applications, that the homepage that I had.
So they're actually listed right there where your mouse is right now. But if you wanted to see,
this is the desktop basically. Okay.
Yeah, you're in the session. Yeah, exactly. So if you wanted to see that launchpad, what you could do is just disconnect right now.
Okay.
And because we don't have any running applications, when you disconnect, we won't be able to resume a specific application. But what you can do is if you click on a new application from the launchpad, then it will actually start. So it says session is running. If you had an application running, you would be able to click resume. And that would actually launch the session. So go ahead and click Excel.
Nice. That's quick.
And that should, and that's Excel right there. So you can click, whatever you want. And then if you want to launch multiple applications, you just use that gear menu, that frame menu that we have on the bottom left, and then click on whatever application you want. And you can, you can launch Chrome inside of, Safari or Mozilla, essentially.
Right.
And use that. And now the other important piece to know is that these sessions are called stateless. And what that means is that anything that's actually done on this session is completely volatile and will be destroyed when this session is powered off. So if you go in and install a virus using Chrome right now, when you power this off, this entire session will be destroyed and that virus will never exist.
So it's got a great security benefit.
Absolutely, yeah. It's these sessions are, you go in, you actually do the whatever work you need to do, you save it off to your cloud storage, you download it to your local machine. You can upload files from the local machine using these options down here. I don't know if we went over this yet, but if you click right here, we can upload. So the cloud storage providers that we have available right now in terms of like being turnkey is Dropbox, Box, Google Drive, and OneDrive.
Okay.
So
OneDrive will work.
Yeah, so all I would do is just turn on OneDrive for your account, and we could disable Box, Dropbox, and Google Drive so that they only have the option to do that.
From the client perspective, though, I could just have their own OneDrive account and secure all their files into that OneDrive account.
Yep, absolutely. And they would just log in using this right here. So they would just click right here, Dropbox or whatever, and then you would click connect, and that's the API right there. Okay. And so you just log in, and give it permission, and now when you do a file open inside of Frame, your drive will actually show up as a network attached storage. So let me just quickly demonstrate that for you right now.
Please do.
So I'm going to connect this.
Are you signing in? Oh, it's not in Dropbox? Okay.
Yeah, I'm signing into Dropbox. So now you'll see this, it's blinking.
Yeah.
You'll see Dropbox, and as soon as it turns white, that means it's connected. So let's mouse back over here, click on Dropbox, connected as Damien. Okay, so now if I go back to Excel over here, and let's start a blank workbook, and let me file open my computer, browse. Now that I get to here, you can actually see under this PC, there's my Dropbox drive. That's my entire contents of my Dropbox. And what we're doing when we connect this is we actually index the top level of all of these folders and files. And so this is technically selective sync because we're just going to index and show you the actual text. But when you click on the actual file, then it is called to the frame system. And so this is one of my test files.
Right.
So you can see I wrote test here a couple of times. And then I can modify this and save it right back to my Dropbox. And it'll update my Dropbox. So if I were to save as this, and let's save over here, this is updating my Dropbox. And there you go. And I was able to update my Dropbox. So there's, as I said before, there's a lot of different things we can do. Ooh, oh, that launched twice.
So the only drives you have in there are Dropbox, Google, and Azure.
OneDrive, yeah, OneDrive.
Which is basically Microsoft.
Dropbox, Box, Google Drive, yeah, and OneDrive. And then that's in beta, but it's working. We have a lot of other accounts that use it right now. Yeah, OneDrive, yeah. It's still in beta, but it's definitely working. Lots of people need it right now. But so here's some other really quickly thing, I just wanted to cover. So this send feedback, you can actually send feedback directly to the administrator. So as a student, they would be able to contact their teacher and say, hey, this is working, or I do like it, I don't like it, whatever. Next piece would be they can actually share the session. Now, you have full control over every single one of these options that a user has. So if you don't want users to share their session, we just disable the option. This option goes away. Otherwise, you have this link. I can send this link to you. You would come into the session and actually share it with me. So
kind of like
where we're doing, yeah, it's kind of like a GoToMeeting, but you're directly coming into the session.
Okay.
Then in this menu here, make sure this is, there we go. We have some statistics. So if I click show hide stats, you will see my session stats and my bit rate and my frame rate right here. I can report a problem directly to support in terms of this will send off to my admin, and then my admin will just forward it on to support. I can manage multiple displays using a GPU backed instance. If I use the Air gig or the Air 4 gig and the Air 8 gig, I can't use multiple displays, but this would allow me to do multiple displays on frame. You could have 2 full screen applications on frame. These are kind of irrelevant change resolutions because we have a dynamic resolution scaling. So unless you have a fixed resolution, I wouldn't worry about that at all. Settings is your quality of service settings. So if a user goes in and clicks on it and they're using Chrome, they would actually have a best video option right here that they could just enable. Otherwise, you're actually able to manually set the different values in the session.
Okay.
From bit rate to frame rate. And then the last piece that we can do is just understand where we are in the about. So this is the frame web terminal. This shows us the name, who's actually, what infrastructure are we using? What's the instance? Where are we? What's my actual hardware statistics? And then my IP.
But this one doesn't, this unit doesn't really have that graphic accelerator card.
This is the Pro 16, so it does have the GPU. Yeah, this is the NVIDIA Grid K520 on this account.
Okay.
So yeah, this one definitely does have one. It's the Pro 16. Anytime you see Pro, it means a graphics backed instance. Anytime you see Air, it means we're just using CPU.
Okay.
Yeah, and so then the last thing they can do is disconnect and power off. And as I said before, when you disconnect, we can resume the session. So if you lose internet connection, if you modify the URL up here, or if you, I don't know, just kill the tab, you'll be able to resume the session once you get back into here. And we'll keep this active for however long the administrator sets. So for this, it's 9 minutes. So I would be able to click resume or click another application and it would launch because the session is still active. If I wanted to turn it off and I'm done, I click power off, and I won't be able to power on an instance for 2 minutes because there's a hard-coded 2-minute wait time between instance starts, so that no one can just, request an instance, turn it off, turn it back on, and kind of rack up a bunch of hours. So that's the actual methodology there from a user side. So once they're done, they power off. If I click power off here, it'll say power off when you're done to avoid unnecessary extra usage. And if, all running applications are going to be closed, which might cause you to lose unsaved work because none of this stuff is getting saved. So if I power off, then that session's killed. I mean, we can do that now. It doesn't matter. Now, the other thing that I wanted to show you was just the actual administration side, the actual admin side.
Yeah, let's look at that.
So what I will do, can I share my screen?
Yes, you may.
Okay.
Let me,
the admin. So let me show you what's different between your experience and my experience. Well, number one is a gear menu here and here. So as the admin, once I install my applications, I can modularly show or hide any apps that's actually installed on my system. So I have SolidWorks Visualize, Rhino, Photoshop, but I'm not showing them on the Launchpad because I just don't want to.
Can you add one of the media ones for me, please?
What's
Well,
that?
just pick Photoshop or something like that, or
Yeah.
any of the Adobe stuff would be great because I want to show it to some other people in the media and entertainment
Okay,
space.
cool. Cool. So yeah, so Photoshop's there, right? Now I
Okay.
just enabled Photoshop. Now as a user, you'll actually, if you refresh your page, you'll see Photoshop appear.
Okay.
Um, Now that's kind of the I would say step one of the actual delivery method to the users is
That's
just
it.
allowing them to show, and hide the
So
actual
you
applications that
add
you
me in
installed.
my account, and you got the gear controls, and we can add and delete by user.
Yep. So here's another thing. It's really important. And that these are account wide. Anytime I change that setting, that actually can changes account wide.
Okay.
Now, if I go into, as the admin, I have this entire drop down menu as the left side right here. So I can manage my Windows apps. I can manage my web apps. I can invite users and delete users and impersonate users with team settings. I can authorize Google users for a single sign-in with Google, and that is two-factor authenticated when they log into Frame, if they're going to be logging in with their Google account. And then we can configure some, customizations, things of that nature, subscription plans for end user billing. That's how we invite you guys in there. But this is the main part of the administration, I would say, life cycle is the dashboard. That's where they make their home. Users launch applications from the Launchpad. The admin installs and administers the account from the dashboard. So we go into the dashboard, and it's a completely different UI. So we have three settings here on the left side. We have apps. This goes over all applications. That's actually my desktop. So I'll go ahead and power this on, and I'll just show you really quickly what that is.
Okay.
This is the gold master image for the entire account. This is the, um, the host image that is all the applications are installed to. Everything is configured and set up here. We do it once, we publish it out, it snapshots this, and then it is imaged to our production instances. And these are the applications that are on our production instances. Then we can show and hide these applications once they've been published to our users.
I see.
Well, if I go into settings, and then actually, sorry, really quickly, the last tab is that utility server. If I gave you guys an account that, we don't need licensing, this tab would be gone. We wouldn't use utility server. This is a 24/7 running machine that serves as a license server. Then the next piece is in settings. We can configure some timeouts. That was, when we disconnect, things like that. And then in the production, this is the most important piece as an administrator, this production tab here. So this is our default pool. We're going to be using that GPU-backed 4 CPU cores Pro 16 instance. We also can change this to any other instance type we want and set that as the default. So for the Air 4 gig, it's great for office applications, Word, Excel, whatever. Air 8 gig would make a little more sense for data entry, things like Excel databases. We're still not using a graphics card. We're just using, a little more RAM. And then once you get into the pro instance types, that's where we're really looking at, AEC applications, CAD apps. We're looking at rendering applications. We're looking at media, content, things of that nature. So for this account, it's default to the Pro 16. We did that for a reason because we want to be able to show off those applications like AutoCAD, Revit. We can set the max session duration here. That is going to be set as a default of 60 minutes for this specific account. I can change that as high as I want to go. I can drop that to 0 for an infinite timer. This will just allow the admin to say, you just have full control over when the session ends. And then this piece is what I was saying earlier. This is kind of that recycle process, is that this is the stateless apps. Any user changes are not seen by the next user that accesses that instance because they are rebooted between sessions, and when they're rebooted, they are essentially re-imaged. Now we have the instance management piece, and that's what I was saying, was this account is on demand because we don't have any minimum instances running, we do not have any buffer instances running, and we just have a max concurrent of 5 users. So 5 users come into the system, they all click on an application, they wait 2 to 3 minutes, they get connected, all 5 users are in. If I set a minimum to 1, then the first user would get connected immediately, all 4 of the other users would actually have that 2 to 3 minute wait time. Now, as the last piece is we can actually make a schedule, and we could say through Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, from 9 to 5, set my minimum to 3 so that 3 people can get in immediately, because I know that 3 people will need to connect with the still max of 5. And so we could set that interval, we can change the time zone, and we can create multiple intervals. So 9 to 5, and then from 5:01 to 8:59, we turn the minimum off so that it's only on when their actual business day is happening.
Can I
Does that
ask
make
a
sense?
question on if you go scroll up to the top where it says pools, this is the
Mhm.
default pool. So, or I mean, I can have a mix of pools, right? Like for
Yeah, check it out at the bottom here.
for the admins
So
and
this is at the very bottom here, you'll see
yeah,
all this. It's kind of gray and hard to see,
yeah.
but this is your entire account. So for me, I have my Air 4 gig, I have a maximum of 1. My Air 8 gig, I have a maximum of 1. So I actually have an Air 4 gig instance provisioned, I have an Air 8 gig instance provisioned, but I don't have any Pro 64 gig instances provisioned. And then I have 5 of my Pro 16s, and you can see all of that as the admin right through here. That'll just give you a live view
But
of
can
what's
I set
going
them
on.
up like in traditional way? Is you have 10 secretaries and you got
Mhm.
20 engineers and you got
Yep.
30 executives or whatever, right?
So
Each
you can
one
either
of
put them all
yeah,
in one account or
yeah.
you put them all in 3 accounts. So you have an engineer account, you have an executive account, you have an office worker
Okay, so
account,
I do have to set 3 different sets of accounts then.
or you can put them all in one, and we can put them all in one account, and we can restrict the applications to those users based on an application group. And that's
Okay.
a feature that we have, and it's called application groups. Let's see if it's in, so I can just quickly show you. This is our documentation website. I highly recommend you check this out if you haven't seen it. Uh, um,
I have. That's pretty good.
let's see if application.
Pretty good.
Manage app groups. There we go. So if you wanted to put them all in one account, we would need to enable the manage app groups feature.
All right.
And what this will do is this will allow you to create application sets that each user would be placed into. So you would have your business development and design. They get these instances and these applications. So your engineers would need access to Pro, and they would need access to all the CAD apps that you install.
Right.
Same thing with the a default app group would be PowerPoint, Word, and you get you get the Air 4. You can't access a Pro 16 here. So once again, we can get really deep into the customization. We can kind of really about what is the exact workflow you want to deliver to your users or students or this bid. So we can define that workflow, and it's really about how do we actually solve the problem for the user. What is the problems that the user has currently? What value can we create? That's kind of the angle that I'm coming from here.
I am the cloud.